Fascinations video podcast, where we put the fun in love.
Hey.
Right? So today's topic is, what is your pride? I'm your host, Emily. I'd like to give a big thank you, you guys. Thank you so much for coming out tonight and
thank you for having us.
Giving us your time. Yes. We're thrilled to have you. We also want to hear all about the fun details about what is your pride and what that means to you. I know you all have stories, life experiences, insight, and we want to know more about what is your pride and what that means to you. But before we begin, I'd like to go around and let's do some introductions. Again, I am Emily. If you can, just state your name, first name, age. If you feel comfortable in sharing, whether you have a partner, if you're single, if not, no worries. Let's start with you.
My name is Jet, 25. I do have a partner. I'm married. We've been together for 10 years. Her name is Jasmine. She's the light of my life. And should we state why we're here?
We're all here for the same reason.
I am a trans man, so I was assigned female at birth. I started transitioning like as soon as I hit 18. As soon as I was out of high school, I was like, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to pursue that. So, yeah, and I'm proud of it. So that's me.
Thank you, Jet.
I'm George, 27. Sorry, I don't know why I messed up my age. But yes, we're getting old. But Tokyo, single. Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, my name is Celine. I am a trans woman. I started my transition late in life. I started at 31, almost 32, due to cultural, familial circumstances. But when I found my truth, I just did what I had to do, and I'm here, and this is me.
Thank you.
My name is Veronica. I am 25 years old. I am a gay woman, and this is my partner. We have been together for almost 3 years, so very exciting.
I'm Jay. I'm 23 years old. This is my partner.
So cute.
Well, I'm Santiago. I'm turning 30 this summer, and I'm looking married.
Thank you.
We love it.
So I'm just gonna throw some questions out there. Whoever wants to start, and then we'll give everyone a turn. What is your pride? Does anyone want to start first?
So for me, gay pride is a celebration of self-love. So it's very like awareness and knowing yourself, first off. And then I strongly believe that you're allowed to love whoever you want or kiss whoever you want. Simple as that.
I love that. Thank you, Jordan. Celine.
I'll go next. For me, finding my pride was a challenge because I felt like I had to fit into a certain decorum or a box or just what a trans woman was supposed to be outside of my family's cultural understanding, and then trying to make it make sense within society's cultural understanding. For me, my pride is I transitioned late in life, but it is because I found that I am me. I love myself. I accept myself. I support the fact that I am who I am. I love who I am. I accept who I am. And if it doesn't make sense to you, it's not my business.
Can I just ask you real quick? You mentioned twice about like the cultural and within your family. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit?
Well, I am a Caribbean American. My father's from Jamaica. And in the Caribbean, gay, LGBTQ, anything is just not an acceptable way of living. We'll just put it that way.
Gotcha.
So I was very afraid to come out and just say, this is who I am, this is the way I am. out of fear. Truly, just out of fear of not being accepted, not being loved. But I got to a place in my life where I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Turn me away, say you don't like me, say you don't love me. I don't care. I have to be who I am. I'm going to be who I am. And I'm going to shout that from the ceiling
Strong
to the
independent
roof.
woman.
The best love is self-love, right?
And that is how that turned out. Culturally, is it understood? No. But I will say this. They are being more open and more perceptive to the understanding of people that are of the LGBT community within the island culture. And I find that so beautiful. I have reached out to a lot of people in that community via social media, and the outpour of love and understanding has been very unexpected,
Well, and I think
but
it
in a
starts
good
here.
way.
You know, it
In a
starts
good
with
way.
podcasts. It starts with it being educational. You know, people like yourselves talking about it openly. You know, and there's younger generations, you know, that are struggling with some of the same identity issues, and they don't, you know, the teasing, the bullying, the social media, and how easy it is to attack others, right? And if we're here to talk openly about it, I think that's, you know, the first step in
Absolutely.
educating others, right? Well, and I guess the only other question I wanted to ask you is to follow up is, Jet, you had mentioned that when you had turned 18, you wanted to start your transition as soon as possible. And you said you didn't start until later in life.
I was 31, almost 32.
Did you know sooner though?
I knew since I was like 5, 6.
Oh, you did?
Oh my God. I used to pray every day because I grew up in a religious household. Nobody went to church but me. The church bus will come around and I get my ass. But I knew I would pray every night. Let me wake up a girl, because I knew the anatomy. I understood anatomy. And I knew my anatomy did not match the anatomy that.
You identified with.
And so I would pray every night, let me wake up a girl. And every morning, I would wake up disappointed. I'm laughing, but it was
I know.
disheartening. And
I remember
I
praying
got
for-
to a point where I said, you know what? I don't care. If they're not going to love me, if they're not going to like me, I don't care. It's not my business. It's not my problem. I need to love and like myself. I was so depressed. I was so downtrodden and beat down. I wouldn't even go to work. Thank God I had a manager that understood my struggle. I would call into work. I didn't want to go to work as a man no more.
Wait, so question, that was it. Like, did you go to work like this? Because you're beautiful. I mean, like, I can't imagine you as a...
But
Does
transitioning,
that
I was
make you like
31, almost
Yeah.
32, so
But
I was
so,
a
like,
whole
so
dude.
one day you were just like...
No, it wasn't just one day. This was a lifetime of experience.
That was my question.
And the time where I actually just said, I don't care.
Fuck you.
I don't care who accepts it, who loves it, my family, my friends, co-workers, anybody. I am who I am, and you will have no other option than to accept me.
I should be.
Santiago, what about you? What is your
My
pride?
pride is being able to take my boyfriend to my family's parties. Because for the longest time, I was ashamed of myself and just jealous of my brothers and nephews bringing their girlfriends. So I thought that was kind of weird that how is it normal for them to do that? Well, why is it not normal for me? Because it's not that I'm weird or it's because it's normal. Like having a gay, like a boyfriend being the same sex, it's not that you're any different. We're all the same, you know. So I think we should be treated the same. So if I could bring my boyfriend, so they could bring their girlfriends, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It makes me much happier celebrating holidays with that. So
So happy to hear that.
No, so me as a gay man, like, I came out when I was 23. Super freaking late. Yes, it took me, because I was battling, like, something, like, within myself. Like,
Right.
yeah, so it takes a second to, like, But it's okay. So like anybody like that's in the closet, like take your freaking time. Like you're gonna have time to explore your sexuality or whatever. Like no, just like love yourself first and then put yourself out there. Because you don't know how many people I've met that like regret so much. And I'm low-key not. I lost my virginity when I was 23, and I was like, I didn't mess with girls, boys. Like I didn't want to be gay so freaking bad. So no, but I get what you're freaking talking about because I would go to the parties and stuff, and then my uncle would be like, "Where's your girlfriend?" And I'm like, about that.
Sense of an expectation.
Yeah.
You know, I have a 12-year-old son who's turning 13, and I never try and set any kind of boundary on him. You know,
You allow him to be himself.
Yes.
Well,
Whatever
I
that
say,
manifests as.
you know, if you bring home a boyfriend or girlfriend, even if he's like, ew, I'm not bringing a boyfriend, whatever. You know, I'm just putting it out there.
Right.
Like, yeah,
You never know.
yeah. I don't,
Because sometimes they like them.
because family puts that expectation.
And bi
Where's your
culture
girlfriend? Where's your,
is a real thing.
So over to our other two lovely ladies.
They're so cute, by the way.
What is your pride?
My pride in particular is being able to be here today. I came from a family of very, very religious, your option is you marry a man
Ooh.
and you remain abstinent until marriage and you love God and this is how you love God and this is the way to do it and nothing else is an option. And personally, as I knew since I was young, 9 or 10 years old, I knew that I loved women. And it was pounded into me my whole life that that is simply not an option. It's not okay. You cannot love God and be gay at the same time because that is
But God
disgusting.
loves you regardless.
And that was my upbringing, and it was
Yeah.
simply not presented as an option and instilled in me very young that it was not okay. So I spent most of my life denying myself and denying that part of myself. And
Maybe a lot of
anytime,
guilt too.
exactly, 100%, a lot of guilt and a lot of self-doubt and a lot of self-hatred.
Yeah.
Because that inner part of me that I just knew was who I am, is that I love women and that's just who I am, was denied not only by myself but by my entire community around me. It's because I was raised very, very sheltered and very much you speak to and are friends with and communicate with people of the church and that is it. So I never had the opportunity to even understand, let alone explore, let alone discover any other part other than what was presented to me in that small community.
And it's gotta be hard as well because your family and your friends are the people who love you the most, that are the
Exactly.
closest to you. Yet those are the people that are telling you in some form or another that this is not okay.
Right.
Being you is not okay. So,
And how am I supposed to know any better if that's all I know?
that's all.
And
Yeah.
so
That's culture. That's what she struggled with.
absolutely, and similar to all
That's
of these
where you go,
stories,
yeah.
I didn't come out until I was in my 20s. And I had to literally leave the state and be a full border
Where you
away
from?
my family. I'm from here. I'm born and raised here, but it wasn't until I moved away to a different state.
Where'd you go?
I went to Portland, Oregon.
Look at the
It wasn't until I gave myself the space and opportunity to explore, to not have the stress and the expectations of others constantly gleaning upon me, to discover, to have that internal review of, all right, what do I like, what do I not like, who am I, what resonates with me, what doesn't, and discovering that part of myself was terrifying because of how I was raised and what I grew up with, and all that I knew was this one way of life. And opening my eyes and opening my mind to different worldviews, different perspectives, different communities was vital. And I would not be literally here, let alone who I am, if I didn't have that opportunity to explore those things.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but question. Did you have a lot of, I'm a social worker, so I work with a lot of kids who, come on, they're not privileged enough where they can, did you just move and you were just like, I don't know, 'cause were you like financially stable, or you just came out
Was
and
it
like let's
college?
move it to a new
You're
city?
fucking 20-something. Hell no! Financially
It
stable?
doesn't matter how old you are. Like
I moved. I was fresh. We're gonna get real here. I was fresh out of the mental hospital.
Okay.
I was hospitalized in a mental
Now you're
institution
not fucking people.
for a
I
minute,
work with
for
you.
a hot minute. And fresh out of that institution, I just knew everything in me screamed,
Okay.
you need to be with yourself. You need to check in with yourself, and you simply cannot do that here in Arizona, where I was, with my family, with my community, with my friends, with these people who I'd grown up with surrounding me. So I up and packed my car on a whim. Spur of the moment, no job planned, no money in my pocket. I
Those are the
drove.
best.
Oh my
I
God,
drove the 22 hours from Chandler, Arizona to Portland, Oregon, and I set up camp. And I figured it out. I figured it out because when you know something so deeply within yourself
Just like
that it will drive you. And if you let it drive you, it will take you where you need to go. And that's exactly
So
what
when
happened.
did you meet this beautiful woman, right?
So this is Jay.
This amazing woman I met right when I moved back. I had to move back because
Yeah.
financial issues.
So you went to Portland, did your thing,
With my
liberated.
thing, I was like, all right, this is who I am, gay. Came back and kind of set up camp and was like, you know what, I'm going to pursue the life that I have in the back of my mind, in the back of my heart, have dreamed of since I was a little girl. And I'm going to pursue it with my whole heart, no matter what. Similar to what you said, it's none of my business what anyone else says, what anyone else thinks.
Exactly.
I'm going to pursue what I know is right and good for me with my whole heart. And very quickly, only a few months after I moved back, I met this amazing
When
woman.
you step into
I
your
hate
truth,
They're too cute.
the universe will bring to
The
you
universe
what
is on
is
your
supposed
side.
to be
That's
in
exactly
place for you.
Tell me about your story.
I always knew. I feel like I knew since I was in second grade. I just tried to keep it down, like we all do. But coming into my pride, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. It's just I wanted to be able to bring someone that I loved around my family, because I was mostly like the only person who didn't. And I finally just stopped caring. Coming into your pride is
Trust me, I get
Yeah,
that
it's
vibe.
just
And
like-
you're get to a day where you're like, I
Yeah.
don't give a fuck.
And if they really love you, they're gonna love who you
Love me or
Yeah.
leave me,
Yeah.
but you
So,
love yourself.
yeah, coming into my pride was just being free, not caring what other people thought, and especially finding my community. And I found that in music. I'm a musician, and just being able to express myself. You don't see a lot of gay women in music until like recently. But they go back to like the 50s.
They've been there,
Yeah,
they're
they
just
use
not
it.
out and open.
They're not out in the open.
The
or
brand-
just not the
the
history
brand
is not carried over.
Has
And-
been in music for many years,
Yeah.
but she was never out and open, but
Yeah.
now she is.
So I want to be able to live through that history and just keep being me.
So, Jet, what is your preference?
So I would say my pride is that I'm so proud of myself for coming this far. There are trans brothers and sisters and non-binary friends who I made throughout the years that unfortunately are no longer with us today. And for me, my pride is carrying on what they started in not only my survival, but to be able to be that beacon of light for other people. I mean, the amount of messages and outpour of love that I've gotten from people I've gone to high school with, and so many of
Went to
them
the
have
wrong
reached out to
school.
me. So many of them have reached out to me and said, where can I start? Because the resources in Arizona are severely lacking, especially if you're looking to medically transition like I did. I started right out of high school. I started going by the name Jet in the middle of my senior year, and I told everyone but my wife first, because I was with her already for almost 2 years at that point, and I was like, she's gonna leave me. Like, she literally came out to her family as lesbian, because she'd never been with a woman before when I was presenting as a female. And then I was like, hey, guess what? It's kind of a lie. Like, sorry.
It's going down!
Okay, so this is where I keep props to people like this. So it's already like an obstacle to come out as gay, and then another one is to be trans.
So
I could never relate to what you've been through, and I know it's tough.
coming out as a lesbian first, and then coming back later and being
Yes.
like, so guess what? There's more.
Yes.
And just being like, this is who I am. The hardest part was coming out to my parents, like most of you, I'm sure, and then also coming out to her because I wasn't sure how she was going to take it. Like, she went through all of this with her family. And I was like, look, you're the only stable thing I have in my life right now, so give it to me straight. Like, what's going on? Are you going to dip or what? And I feel bad because we laugh about it now, but I used to drive her to and from school every day. I had my license in my car first, so I would pick her up and we'd go to school together and I'd drop her off. And so I'm driving home and I'm real quiet. And she's like, what's going on? Like, this is a little strange. Like, you normally talk my ear off after school, so what's going on? And I'm like, hey, I have something I have to tell you. And she's like, you're making me really nervous now. Like, what's going on? And I just tell her straight out. I'm like, look, I've been going by jet for like a few months now to my friends, and that's what I want to be called now, and I think I want to be a man, and I'm doing all this research, and here's what I want to do, and this is who I am. Like, do you want to be with me still? Like, I know this is not what you signed up for at all, and I understand, but I need to know now because, like, I have an appointment, like a doctor's appointment after graduation. Like, I'm starting the process. And she gets really quiet, and then she starts crying, and I was like, are we breaking up? Like, I don't know. And I knew at that very moment, the next words that she said to me, I was like, I'm going to marry this girl, was like, I'm just so sad that you felt like you couldn't come to me. And I am so sad that you were struggling with this and you didn't share that with me. And then been together ever since.
He's
and
married.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
So-
Yes, no.
Yeah.
Literally what we all fucking shoot for. Like,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
So, starting that process was definitely really hard. And with my parents, they've always been really open, like, sexually and about, like, drugs and things like that. Like, they wanted me to come to them when I had anything going on in my life. But, they definitely struggled with this one. With coming out as lesbian, my mom was like, okay, what do you want for dinner? Like, it was like she knew. And then when I came out as trans, there was a lot of questions. And I was younger, and I kind of came into it with the mindset of, this isn't going to go right. So I did come on a bit stubborn. I was like, hey, I'm going to talk for 20 minutes, and I want everyone to shut the hell up and listen to what I have to say, and don't ask me any questions, and then I'm leaving. So I basically, like, came out as trans.
Mic drop.
Yeah, and then I was like, yeah, mic drop, and I left. And my mom didn't speak to me for months after that. But it was because she had concerns for my safety. She's like, look at all this stuff I pulled up online, like, someone's going to murder you. And I was like, listen, if living as my true self gets me killed, I lived happily. I lived my truth. I felt good about myself during that period of my life, and if that's what happens to me, like,
No, but it's like,
Sorry,
I
I
guess
love
like
Beyonce.
any human reaction,
right,
like I
the
work
safety.
with people, yes.
Yeah.
So that makes sense though. But she was like totally accepting about it, like.
Yeah, so it was just a lot of questions. Like, she was just very confused, like, even, and that was like 6 or 7 years ago, and she was still very much like, there wasn't a lot of media out there that covered that kind of stuff. Like, the first thing that came out around the time that I came out was that show about Jasmine, the trans.
Yeah.
And she was like, my mom called me, and she's like, I've been watching the show about Jasmine, and I'm learning so much and all this other stuff, and that makes me proud that she went out of her way to
But
go
prior
learn
to that
stuff.
show, she posted her existence and her experience on just social media.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that her parents were so supportive and so on board with the fact that my child at 5, because at 4 or 5 is when she said, I'm a girl. And this is prior to the show. They said, I believe you, I see you, I support you. And then the show came, 8 years later? At 4 and 5 years old, she said, this is who I am. And the fact that her parents supported her and just said, we just see you as the way you see yourself. Chef's kiss.
In most scenarios, it's like you think of this whole thing like all this negative media we have about our community that like this is the worst case scenario, like this is what's going to happen to me. And it wasn't like that at all. My dad said to me, are you just doing this because your brother gets away with everything? That was the only thing. And my mom was just like, are you gonna die? Like, it was just very
Do you
extreme.
need attention?
Right, I know. I was like,
So drastic.
No.
but same thing as Jazz. Like, I definitely knew something was up when I was younger. I was like, no, like this very femme thing that my mom's trying to get me to do. No, I can't do that. I can't deal with that. I'm not like that. I never was like that. So like when I came out as trans, I still can't believe that there were some friends of mine who were like, I never saw that coming. I was like, girl, look at pictures of me. I look the same without facial hair. The same. Like, I got called a man before transitioning. And then, of course, I start transitioning, and that's when I start getting called ma'am all the time. Yeah. I was like, you had the pronouns right, like, before, and now I need you to go back to that.
And then when you start your transition, then they want to call you, well, for me, sir, mister, and for you, ma'am.
That's offensive.
Prior to that, oh, your voice is very feminine. Your voice is very masculine. But as soon as you start transitioning,
Everybody's like,
no,
let me say
everyone's
the wrong thing.
oblivious. Oh, I don't understand. I don't get it.
I think another amazing message within this story is that it is so okay and so normal to come out more than once. To come out as many times, to come out once, twice, 18 times, to come out 0 times. To just go with your flow. I came out as bisexual before I came out as a lesbian. I feel like that's a very common pattern. I think it is scary to come out once enough, but I think the more we talk about how many times we have come out individually, it gives an illusion of permission for others to come out as many times
Not
as they
an
feel
illusion,
necessary.
acceptance.
An acceptance to come exactly
Yeah, so
as many
it's like
times
a little
as
bit of
necessary.
both. So like,
Because I am older than everybody here.
Probably not over here.
From our fucking
Generation.
coming out once too much. But in this dynamic, coming out multiple times, coming out as gay, coming out as lesbian, coming out as non-binary, coming out as polyamorous, coming out as so many different things is so accepted.
so on top of
Whereas within our community, it was very, you come out once, scarlet letter, you're this, and that's all there is.
I think I've heard Jet, Veronica, all of you. I know you said you're social work. I work in education with special needs children. I recently had a 8th grade student boy who was, over COVID, he was meeting with me online and just kept, he was having a lot of issues, like, he would call me Miss Emily, Miss Emily, he was writing the stories, and all, the common theme in these stories were, whether it was gay or kissing men, there were some major issues of other things that were going on to where he said he couldn't handle it anymore, he didn't know what to do, and he went to a mental institution twice this year. And so I've heard, I think from you do social work, I feel like, I don't know if you touched on something, Jet, but when he was out of the second,
How old is he?
he is 13. When he was out of the second hospital, he finally came onto a campus classroom that was like half day, and I met him there. When he saw me, he gave me the biggest hug and said, like, you saved my life, by helping him. But he also said when he was in these facilities that he told me his stories, like, there's a lot of people there that are like, he's like, Miss Emily, do you know what, like, transgender is? Do you know what gay is? What do you think a lot of these kids, these adolescents are in there for?
So like coming out has multiple layers. First you have your own personal battle, which is like accepting yourself, I like this, I like that, exploring your own sexuality. But then you have, hey, I'm coming out to this group of friends. I might consider talking to my parents. And then I'm considering like just going out full on blown, like it's very difficult to come out. And anybody in the closet, take your fucking time.
If you could give your younger self any words of advice.
Okay.
Cut the cameras. It's gonna be an all-night event.
Santiago, what would you give your younger self? Like, if you could give any kind of
Well, I
advice.
came out to my parents just this December,
Oh,
and
wow.
I thought it was gonna be the hardest thing in my life. But I think the hardest thing was just telling them. If I knew it was gonna be this easy, just them hugging me and telling me everything was gonna be okay, and I should have just done it. Like you shouldn't be afraid of what your family is gonna say because
You would have done it sooner.
I would have done it sooner. I mean, it was. I think that's the hardest part, just doing the jump. Because then afterwards, you are able to figure it out. Because we all figure life out, regardless of what it is.
You realize like who loves you for who you are, and then like who people who are like it literally changes your
Yeah, and you have
entire
a
life.
community, especially if you have. Well, speaking personally, I did have a group of friends who were supportive. I know you mentioned that your community was like speaking against it. So that was kind of easier for me with my friends telling me saying if they said no or they closed the door, you could always come to us. So I should have taken that offer from them if they ever said no to me. I could be well, okay, well I could go live with my friend's parents or somewhere else, but I never decided to do that. I was just too scared of the rejection of not being able to go back home. So that's what I would have told myself. You should have done it a lot sooner.
That's right. Ladies?
If I could tell my younger self some advice, I think just stop caring what other people think. Just be your authentic self and let everyone figure it out. I personally didn't feel the need to have a official coming out to the people that I knew, just because I didn't feel the need to, and I didn't want to have that big moment or anything. Just because I don't know, I didn't want to deal with the questions. I didn't want to deal with the are you sure? Are you sure you're not bisexual or anything like that?
Do you not know who you are?
I just wanted to bring her around and be like, this is my girlfriend, Veronica.
Very go with it, just
And
like
yeah, and if you have questions to ask me, you can ask me later in private. But yeah, I tell my younger self just to do it all and don't care.
What I would tell my younger self is that no one knows you better than you know you. And you have to trust what your intuition is telling you over anything else, because everyone has, and this is neither here nor there, neither good nor bad, but everyone has their own perception, their own lens that they're looking through, and at the end of the day, no one knows you better than you know yourself. And if your inner self, if your intuition, if your heart, your soul, your bones, your blood is telling you this is who you are, then you have an obligation to yourself to listen to that, to follow through with it, and to fake it till you make it in confidence and say, you know what? I just know in my blood, in my bones, in my soul that this is who I am and this is what I'm going to pursue. And similar to all these other stories, the people who are for you are going to be for you. And cling to that. And the people who have hesitations, the people who have oppositions are going to need time. They're going to need education, which is a barrier that we have in public schools and families and communities, is that just the knowledge, the simple awareness.
education and everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The simple awareness and education of I don't even want to use normal.
Non-conformity.
Non-conformity, yeah. Just what historically has been accepted needs to be delved into and needs to be uncovered. And there are resources, few where they may be, I promise, that there are resources for your community, for your pain points, for your identity. There are resources. And you have to have the courage
Oh, can I be her friend after
and the
this?
confidence
You have to ask.
done deal,
Looking
done deal,
awesome.
to dive into that and to venture into the unknown, because that's what it is. It's just unknown. It's simply not spoken of. It's simply not given the time of day. The more we as a community give it the time of day and encourage others outside of the community to give it the time of day, the more we are going to mitigate the risks of being in the community. So that's what I would tell my younger self, is to just, no one knows you better than you know you, and to find your community.
Thank you.
For me,
Celine.
I am a transgender, Black transgender Caribbean American, and goddess.
Got it.
My father is from Jamaica, and my lineage is Jamaican, and then my mother's side is Irish and German and all so on and so forth. But for me, I speak to the people on my father's side. There are trans Caribbean people that are not supported, and not feeling like I can be myself because I understand the cultural aspect of the country that my lineage is from. Will not support, will not uplift, and will not say it's okay, but it will cause you to lose your life. It will cause you to be in a position of death. And it will never put you in a position of support, love, and uplifting. Me knowing that and being in America and being a light and a source for those that are of my country that can see me and say, this one individual may not solve it, but it makes me feel like I have a chance. I didn't transition until I was almost 32 years old because I understand the cultural aspect of my lineage. But I want to be the voice and the reason that someone sees. And I want to be that voice, that chance, that option that they see in America, like, oh my God, that's someone I can identify with. My family is from Jamaica. I want them to see that is a girl that has made a way out of me. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me that opportunity. And I will do my best to provide any opportunity and chance for a girl that wants to pursue and be further and grow and prosper. I will open my home, my door.
And I think that's important too, is, I've heard, especially at least with the transgender community, but probably also with the gay, bisexual, any, community, is that there's not a lot of resources, is what I heard in Arizona, right? So if you, living, breathing, you made it through, can offer any insight, education to others out there, to the youth growing up that are possibly going through this, to people who are of the same age, if not older. I mean, I think Celine maybe can agree with me that, some of the older generations, even older than me in the 50s and 60s, it was so...
Older than us.
Older than us. So taboo to even come out, and they probably lived in secret.
Oh, yes!
Yeah, I mean, and to live in secret in your 60s or 70s and not be able to anyone to know that you have a girlfriend,
That's
boyfriend.
No, so to be honest, we're still battling this till this day. And it's not over until, anybody in our community is visible and respected.
Before we move on, I just want quickly to note that as a white person, it is my obligation and responsibility to educate myself on the particular and specific struggles and hardships of people of color. And I think it is very important to recognize that and know that. So as we are supporting each other as the LGBT community, I want to come alongside my LGBTQ
Come on, girl! Come on, baby! I welcome you. I love you.
The last question being, and I think it's important because I also think it's important for youth to hear this too. Yes, if you could give your younger self any advice or wisdom or anything, just from going through the journey that you've gone through, what would it be?
So I did grow up very sheltered. Awesome. independent, like single mom, whatever. I did wait forever, but it was because a battle inside myself. So it took me 23 years to figure out what I like wanted to do. So when it came out, my mom was just like, "I love you. You're a grown-ass man. You know what you like. Period." So it was like, I was like, "Okay, I love you." So it was like, and then in my head, I'm like, why did I wait so fucking long for my mom to fucking say she loves me? And
No matter what.
Well, because you
Yeah.
didn't know.
but some people don't have that though. So it's like,
True that.
so it's like, yeah. So everybody has their own freaking battle. So I had that my battle within myself. Some people have that battle physically. Some people like, I don't know, like coming out is like difficult. There's layers to coming out.
It's
There's like
layers.
you come to
Like an
friends, you
onion
come
has
out
layers.
against self.
It
Yeah.
has layers.
Yeah,
I
Jen,
love
no,
that.
yeah, onion has layers. Parfait has
So I'm
layers.
passing it on to you.
Jen, what would you tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self that all those dreams that you had of being a strong, burly man when you're older are not true, but you are a man though.
Those were my
So,
nightmares.
It partially came true.
Those were my
Really,
nightmares.
man?
Thanks, I go to the gym.
My nightmares of being a strong burly man.
Jen, which way is the beach?
Oh, what was his
There's not
name?
much to flex yet.
No, you know what? You own that shit. You own it.
I would tell myself that, you know, it's worth the wait. Like, just live through every day, and what you've been waiting for will come. And also, to kind of go off of what Veronica was saying, the people who matter will be there for you. Like, regardless of what happens, the ones that matter, the ones who have been there no matter what from day one, they will stick with you like nothing. Like when I told my wife what was going on with me, and her reaction was that she was so sad that I felt like I couldn't share that with her. That's my ride or die. Like I could not imagine my life without having that person with me. And there are people who they don't have that support, and I want them to know, like anybody watching this, like youth, adults, older people that are finding themselves as they're growing as people, that you can reach out to me, you can reach out to any of us in the community. Somebody will help you. Someone will help you find resources.
There's
Somebody will
crisis
support
lines and
you.
shit. Like you
All
guys,
of that
like
stuff.
literally reach out to anybody.
The first person I reached out to was a gentleman, and I'll call him out right now. His name is Wolf. Hi, if you're watching. He's in his 60s,
I thought he was here. I was like, hi.
and he is a trans man. He has been in newspapers when he was younger as a out lesbian, in the protests. Like, he was in all of these, like, revolutions. He lived through them, and he helped guide me through this process of helping me, like, change my name and buying clothes
Fucking awesome.
and presenting myself in a way that I felt confident. And it's the same thing as, like, it's never too late to start. He didn't start transitioning until he was much older. Much older. Like, I can't say for sure, but I want to say, like, 40s or 50s is when he figured it out. And he only got top surgery, like, a couple of years ago. We're seeing the same surgeon. Hey!
So you're
so-
gonna look good.
You're gonna get a shout out to that surgeon?
Yeah.
He's like, I know I'm gonna look good.
So I would tell myself, like, good things come to those who wait, and not to be afraid, because the people who matter to you will stick by you.
I think, too, you know, another message that at least I feel like I'm hearing is that no matter what age you are, it's never too late to love yourself.
Absolutely.
To try and find that person that you are, fall in love with yourself. Again, or for the first time, whatever. I want to thank you all so much for being here to the Fascinations, What is Your Pride podcast. If you want to learn more about Fascinations, you can follow us on social media at Fascinations Fun, or visit our website at funlove.com. And lastly, who doesn't love free swag?
Yeah.
So there's some products behind the ladies and you gentlemen and ladies over here. I don't know, maybe we can
I
show
want
that
the big
to
one. I like it big.
This is the unicorn collection.
Do I have to open this?
I don't know.
Is
it's
that
the
what we're doing?
unicorn
Is that what we're
collection
doing?
by Lawan. Why not?
I don't know.
Lawan, and these products were made specifically for Pride, with Pride in mind.
Hold that.
Okay, so each box includes fun unicorn and rainbow items in addition to a wand massager with attachments and accessories for your enjoyment or your partners. Thank you, Luan, for your partnership. To better supply you with the best, Karma Sutra is also giving you each the Oil of Love Kissable Warming Foreplay sample collection. So we can't wait to get your feedback on all these amazing products. Thank you so much again for coming
Thank
and
you.
for participating in our
Thank you for having
podcast.
us.
Again, don't forget to follow us on social media at Fascinations Fun or funlove.com. All right. Here's to a successful podcast.